Good evening and a very warm welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. You're with me this evening, Supajong Klinsawan. Following a fire at Panang Cheng Warawihan Temple in Ayutthaya province, the governor has demanded a rapid investigation of the incident, which destroyed many ancient tapidaka, old books, and caused damage worth over 100 million baht. Firefighters were trying to control the blaze at the library located on the second floor of a teak wood building of Panang Cheng Warawihan Temple in Ayutthaya province. The fire started around 3 p.m. Firefighters faced difficulties due to the narrow access routes to the temple. Authorities have estimated the amount of damage could reach around 100 million baht. Initially, people in this area said that they had heard an explosion followed by smoke, and fire quickly spread to the back of the building and destroyed the ancient tapidaka and old books. It is said the cause might be an electrical short circuit. Ayutthaya governor is demanding a speedy investigation of the incident. As daytime temperatures reach 40 degrees Celsius, the demand for air conditioners and electric fans has increased by around 200%. In some areas, supply is not meeting public demand. Incorrect assessment of the current demand by air conditioner retailers is turning into a lost sales bonanza opportunity as stocks run out. For those with sufficient products, sales have jumped twofold when compared year on year. Even though sales of other electrical appliances had been experiencing a downward trend, overall electrical appliance sales this year will grow by 15 to 20% to 2.35 billion baht, thanks to Mother Nature. Besides the hot weather, the high demand for air conditioners is also been driven by the 2011 floods, which ruined many air conditioners and compressors. The retailers may have to put their customers on a 2-week waiting list. As a solution to the excessive demand, many retailers are sourcing air conditioners and electric fans from China and Vietnam. However, the import duty is adding to the cost as the government labels them as luxury products. A locomotive carrying 7 bogies containing bunker oil slipped off the rails near Don Mueang and spilled at least 45,000 liters of oil onto the surrounding area. There were concerns that the oil might catch fire, but there have been no reports of any blaze or injuries so far. This train was coming from Phitsanulok province, heading for the Bangkok Aviation Fuel Services Company near Chatuchak before it derailed and spilled massive amounts of bunker oil. Each bogie carries at least 45,000 liters of oil. 4 of the 7 derailed bogies overturned. Bunker oil was leaking out of the 4 bogies. Authorities are continuing to plug the holes as well as drawing the oil out of the bogies. Liquid foam was also used to cool the oil in the scorching daytime heat and to decrease the impact if an inferno does occur. A 20-meter radius from the accident site is off limits to the public. Yuthana Thapcharan, governor of the Railway Authority of Thailand, think that the rail expanded due to the heat and the misshapen rail was the cause of the accident. Trains going to and heading from the north have been delayed since before 5 p.m. and officials hope they will be able to clear the site and allow trains to operate before midnight tonight. Given the rising NGV and LPG prices, the Central Land Transport Committee has now agreed to an increase in taxi fares. The new rates will be announced on May the 1st and come into effect in June. However, many taxi drivers say that the government's policy does not help them, as the main problem is the shortage of NGV stations. Kun Bandit has more.
The Central Land Committee, under the Department of Land Transport, has given the green light for an upward adjustment in taxi fares. Among all the proposals, the most possible new rate for taxi fares is an increase of 50 satang to the current distance charges. The starting fare will remain at 35 baht for the first kilometer. The higher energy prices are taking a toll on all sectors, including the transportation industry. However, despite the increasing energy costs, taxi drivers do believe that increasing taxi fares is not the solution. They are instead hoping that the government would increase the number of NGV stations. In Thailand, most taxi drivers use NGV to fuel their vehicles. But despite the great demand, there are merely 469 PTT-owned NGV stations nationwide, with almost a quarter of them in Bangkok.
แล้วก็การบริการที่ของปั๊ม NGV มันน้อยมากมันเสียเวลาเติมครับ
Pirachet, one of the anxious taxi drivers, says that the solution which he hopes the government will adopt is not a taxi fare adjustment, but an increase in the number of NGV stations. This taxi driver indicates that he adds NGV to his vehicle twice a day, and each time he has to wait in line for no less than an hour, which is time wasting. He could in fact serve more clients and hence earn more per day if more NGV stations are introduced. The Department of Land Transport will finalize the details of the rise within a week and will forward the proposal to the Ministry of Transport for approval on May 1st. The new fares will then take effect in June. Meanwhile, Tirut Wisanjit, Deputy Director General of the Department of Land Transport, says that the net salary of taxi drivers, after deducting expenses such as car rental and fuel costs, has to be no less than 400 to 450 baht per day, which is 33 to 50% higher than the national minimum wage. This is Bandit Good Bandit, reporting for Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Bandit. The government consistently blames the soaring price of domestic energy on the spike in world energy prices. Academic experts, however, are saying that Thailand pays higher petroleum prices than any ASEAN country, even the United States, and the government's policy is actually where the blame should lie. Additionally, they also argue that there should be more competitors in the energy industry rather than having only one dominant player. Here's more from Kun Rungtip Chonampalai.
The petrol price in Thailand compared to Southeast Asian like Indonesia, Malaysia, Burma, we a lot higher price than all this country. And I compare to the United States of America. They import crude oil from Thailand, but they still like sell the petrol price, the gasoline, less than Thailand, about 10 baht per liter.
Right.
That's mean I always said that the petrol price in Thailand, it's like because of the policy, the public policy right now make the petrol price quite higher compared to other country.
In terms of the subsidy, because of benzene price in Thailand, it's quite high. We have to subsidy to the diesel and also other kinds of energy like NGV or LPG. You think that is appropriate?
I don't think Thailand need a free market. Free market need a lot of competition in the market, because right now our market have very few
the player
in the market right now. And if we have enough player, our price will going down, not going up. Many people in the energy sector always said we need a free, like a market mechanism, something like that.
Yes.
But actually we don't have the market mechanism right now, because our refinery, we have 6 refineries, but 5 belong to only one major shareholder. That's why our energy sector is not a real competition.
Thank you, Kun Rungtip. The cabinet has approved the suspension of debt repayments for 4 million debtors of good standing with 4 public banks for a period of 3 years. This populist policy was one of the government's campaign promises, which the government says will help debtors in times of higher cost of living. Participants of the debt suspension scheme are now able to suspend repayment of the borrowed principal for a period of 3 years, but will still have to pay the interest at a very low rate of 3%. They are being asked to contact their representative banks from May the 2nd through August the 20th, and the new interest rate will go into effect starting the 1st of September. Kitirat Naranong, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, projects that this scheme will help spur economic growth by 0.4 to 0.7% and is confident that the Thai economy will expand by 7%. Meanwhile, two public banks indicate that the debt suspension scheme should not pose much of a burden on the institutions because the government will be providing assistance. Lak Wachananawat, president of the executive board for the Bank of Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives, or BAAC, says that 2.9 million of the bank's clients will benefit from the scheme, representing a total of 390 billion baht worth of debt. The profits of BAAC will reduce to 2 billion baht from 8 billion baht. On the other hand, Lersak Chulathe, director of the government saving banks, says that 840,000 of their clients are set to benefit from the program, representing 64 billion baht worth of debt. Following Justice Minister Pracha Promnok's proposal that the government pay compensation to victims of the violence in the Deep South, the cabinet meeting today approved a budget of approximately 2 billion baht to be used for compensation payments to the victims and their families. The compensation payments will cover victims of all southern unrest since 2004, as well as the bomb blast in Yala province last month. The healing budget will be paid to 4 groups of people: civilians, state officials, victims who suffered as a result of the actions of state officials, and people who are facing the legal action as a result of southern violence. The government has set up 8 committees to investigate each case, and as the Truth Reconciliation Commission of Thailand will also pay out compensation to victims, the government will make up the balance. The committees on the southern unrest will start conducting an investigation into each case in the next 2 weeks. The Women and Youth Club of Bangkapi District of Bangkok has proposed that the House Speaker investigate the behavior of Democrat MP Nat Banthathan after a photograph of him apparently looking at pornography during the parliamentary meeting last week was published. Today, about 20 women from the Women and Youth Club of Bangkapi District of Bangkok asked the House Speaker to investigate the Democrat MP for Bangkok, Nat Banthathan, for looking at pornographic pictures in the House, saying that such images are exploitative of women, inappropriate for children. Meanwhile, Paitit Siwarakan, chairman of the House Committee on Parliamentary Affairs, will send a letter asking Democrat MP Nat Banthathan to provide an explanation. But Democrat MP Nat has refused to comment further on this case, as he had already explained to the public that he was just checking which the photo appeared after it had already appeared on the monitor of the screen in the House meeting chamber. Meanwhile, Kampi Ditthakorn, House Deputy Secretary General and a commissioner on the investigation committee on this case, has postponed the disclosure of the outcome of the investigation on this case indefinitely. He claims that Parliament has to wait for the private company which provided the projector screen to Parliament to remove the memory box from the screen for examination. The governor of Phuket province says that by the end of this week, locals whose residences were affected by the strong earthquake in mid-April will receive their compensation. Alisa Promsi is extremely worried about whether this house, which she has completed building just 5 months ago, will last until her grandchildren can inherit it, as there are cracks around the house caused by the April 16th earthquakes. Indeed, many local residents are concerned about their property following the quakes and the frequent aftershocks which followed. Locals fear that they will not be compensated by the state, especially residents of Talang district, where at least 200 houses suffered cracks on their walls. However, Phuket Governor Tri Akradesha insists each province has a 50 million baht budget to assist victims of disasters. The checking and budget distribution should be completed by the end of this week. He added that each house will receive compensation according to the real cost of repairing the damage. And that's all we have for tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. We'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same place. I'm Supajan Klinsawan. Sawasdee krap.